for viewing later so that you can share them with your colleagues. I'm going to present this so that teachers would be more than able to follow along with what we're doing here. We might get into some librarian specific questions, but if we do, that's fine too. But we want to make sure that everybody has this, and I'll send you all probably tomorrow in the morning. I'll have time to edit the video and make sure that you all get the recording and the PowerPoint slides that I'm using as well. I don't really use the PowerPoint slides that much. I just really rely on live demo. I just have them here as backup, as a good practicing trainer or presenter will do, but I will make sure that you have those as a reference point for yourself and for others, and you're again welcome to share those internally as well. So let me go ahead and cover quickly our agenda. These are the things that we're going to talk about. One of the things that we've changed pretty substantially about Galileo is in some ways not, is how students, faculty, staff, teachers, media specialists will log into Galileo via our new Galileo Wayfinder, and we'll explain in detail what that is, what it does, how it works, what are the advantages of it, and what will be the future impact of it going forward with Galileo. We'll be talking about navigation. I will just kind of give you a guided tour around the full page. We'll cover everything that is in my slide presentation along the way. We'll do this slowly and meticulously so that you can see everything that we've changed, and I'll speak to some background and context for a lot of the changes and updates that we've made. Although a lot of the things have remained pretty much the same in terms of where things are located, how things are accessed. We've done some things that are the same and some things that are very different, and I'll be sure to point to all of that. One important feature of Galileo for K-12 has been the Galileo K-12 views. And I'll be sure to show you how you can access the different views, elementary, middle, high school views. And we've added a new view called the Educator View, which is sort of full Galileo, that I'll share with you. And we'll kind of go view by view and talk a little bit about the differences between the views and some of the work that we did there to make that easier for you. We'll talk about our database search. We've substantially updated our database searching and our database lists using some new software, and we'll continue to evolve and grow that. But it is an improvement, but I think we can continue to improve that along with other things. But it is, I'll mention some specific improvements that we're already talking about when we look at our database search and our database lists. Another feature that we had previously in the old Galileo, if you will, was the Spotlight. We have upgraded that Spotlight substantially, and we've also made that Spotlight customizable. And when we take a look at the main page, we'll go into detail about what you can do there at a school district level with the Galileo Spotlight in terms of customization. We'll talk about some improvements we've made to our Galileo Support pages, and we'll also talk about our Galileo About pages and just our general information about Galileo, some changes that we've made there, where to access that information. And we'll also talk about tools and training. And we've made substantial changes and updates to our training pages and some things there that you'll want to see as well. So those are the things that we're going to cover. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my PowerPoint slides here now that we've kind of set the stage. And I'm going to move to doing live demo. And in just a minute, you should be seeing my browser screen. And Mike, as you're so great at doing, if you could just let me know when my browser screen is nice and visible, and everybody should be seeing Galileo now.
Yep, I can see it.
Thank you so much, Mike. So this is the new Galileo Search page. And as I mentioned, I will step you through step by step the changes that we have made here. So first of all, we'll talk about the changes in authentication and the Wayfinder in just a moment. But one of the things that we wanted to do, something that we hadn't done before, in order to make the transition less jarring for people, is we wanted to create some pop-ups on the page. And they're pop-ups that you can engage, so they're not those annoying pop-ups that get in your way without you wanting them. But we've added this What's New button here, and we'll likely retain this under a new name after the site isn't quite so new anymore. We'll probably have it to something like Guided Tour or something like that, so that if somebody's not familiar with Galileo Search, they can come here, click on the What's New area, and you see this is designed just to give a quick tour of what you do here. And I will cover this all in detail, but the Wayfinder is designed for you to search for your institution and go to your login screen. I can go to the next step, and that's designed here to help me, go to my password if I know it already and log in without having to go find my institution. And this tells me if I need help, the support button is available for me to do that. And then that's everything that's available here on the Galileo welcome page. And I can go ahead and click done when I'm finished with that. And it's giving me a quick tour of what's here. So that very lightly explained to me what's going on with those pop-ups, but from your perspective, what does it mean to have this new Galileo Wayfinder in play? It seems like a cumbersome thing, but in all honesty, it's going to support single sign-on later for all of our Galileo institutions, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So Galileo has had access via password for many, many years, and some of you have heard us talk about the overwhelmingly huge project that we're doing to convert all of our Galileo users to using single sign-on, including our K-12 users. So that's taking some time for us to do. We're pretty much finished with the large majority of our colleges and universities now. But in any case, let me show you the two ways that you can log in and sort of the value here of using this Wayfinder. As you can see, I can search all of the Galileo institutions at one time. And one of the things that we have added here, I'm going to pop over to K-12, is we've added a way to limit just to public schools, or all K-12 schools, private and public. And I'm going to start searching Henry County. And this will give me results for Austin Road Elementary School, Bethlehem Elementary School, Cotton Indian Elementary School. So many, many elementary schools there in a very large swath in Henry County. So I'll go ahead and choose Bethlehem Elementary School. Note that I'm choosing elementary school. So I'll choose that. And then it's going to route me to the Galileo login page. Now we're still authenticating K-12 users at the school system level. So the password is still the same for all the schools in Henry County. And you guys have, if anybody's here from Henry County, you have the most awesome password ever right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click and go in. And note the value add of going in and searching by school. And I'll talk a little bit about what happens off campus versus on campus too. So we're assuming I'm off campus right now. I'm not in the building, I'm at home. I'm a student at home. What this has done is it automatically has logged me into, because I logged in via an elementary school page, it's taken me directly to the elementary school view for Galileo. So that is one of the value adds of using that option for the Wayfinder. I'll go more into views in a bit, but I just wanted to show you that initially. And I do want you to see what I mean also by single sign-on. I'm going to log in here as a college and university now. I belong here to the University System Office, so I can log in via single sign-on with my credentials, which is the goal here for single sign-on. And I'm going to log into Galileo that way. And it takes me to the University System Office page for Galileo. So just wanted to show you how that looks and how that works for a single sign-on user. And now I'm going to log out one more time, and then I want to point to one more feature of how this works. The other great thing for this, and this is designed to support people who might be, for example, I'm a K-12 media specialist. I'm enrolled in a master's degree program at Georgia Southern. And I like to use my public library, and I want to be able to easily remember, the login pages for all three of those places, even if I am, still having to remember credentials for different ones right now. So University System Office and Bethlehem Elementary School are saved down here as my recent selections. It'll save up to 5 selections there, so that I can log in from different institutions at different times. So if I go to the University System Office, it'll route me back to that single sign-on page. If I click on Bethlehem Elementary, it'll route me back to that Galileo password page. But the nice thing is, if your students already know the password, if you already know the password, you can always just go ahead, come to the Know the Password area down the page a bit, click Go, and you're logged in. So I wanted to log in that way because when you don't use a specific school, when I'm just using the Henry County system login, I'm not routing through any particular school using that Wayfinder feature, it doesn't know that I'm coming from an elementary school. So it prompts me when I first get to Galileo to choose the view if I want. So you see here, I have the option to choose elementary, middle, high school, or educator. Again, we'll spend the last part of our time together going through these different views in a little bit more detail, but I just wanted to show you that's what the goal of this is to do. And also, just to give you a clear picture of this, if you're accessing on site where you're not using the Galileo password in authentication, you're just automatically authenticated to Galileo. What will happen then is you will pick a view each time you click on the Galileo page for the first time. And I'll also show you how you can change between views, which makes a lot of sense in a bit when I focus in on views later on. But this, again, gives me the option to choose that elementary, middle, high school, and educator view, depending on what I need to do, or depending on the type of student I am, or the type of student in your case that you're working with when you hit that Galileo page. So just wanted to point that out. We're defaulted into the educator view. And I'm going to leave us in the educator view. This is full Galileo. This is everything that you might need as a teacher. This is everything, for example, that a high school student might need if they needed access to every single thing, if they were in an AP or international baccalaureate program. We have the high school view, which is most everything, but then we have the educator view, which is truly everything that you would have access to in Galileo. The other views are scoped a bit in terms of the types of resources that are available there to focus in on those particular age groupings. But the educator view gives access to everything. With that in mind, I just want to point out that the What's New button that I mentioned earlier when we were on the login page is also available here, and it is designed to go step by step through looking at the Discover search. Nothing has really changed with how you do search in Galileo. We're again continuing to work on improvements to search, but that basic search everything search, that Discover search, is still the main search there on the main page. It searches many databases with a single search. The advanced search is available. So again, you can step through all those different things here using that What's New button. And when you're ready to stop, you can just click the skip button and it goes away. But you can re-engage it anytime. So just some other features here. If you want to, I'll spend more time on views later, but just to know that we've tried to make it super easy to change views. So it could be very practical to need to change views. So we put that right here on the view information with a down arrow, and it just gives you a change view button. And at that point, if for example, you were working with an elementary schooler who was venturing into some middle school content and needed to kind of maybe have a different view and a few more resources or some more sophisticated resources, you could have them click into the middle school view really easily here just by toggling to the different views.
Hey, Russell, we have a question.
Please, by all means.
It says, I love the way the Wayfinder looks. For schools that have a direct link posted for high school view, will they need to change their hyperlink, or will they be directed to select their view each time?
You'll have to forgive me, Mike, because I don't remember what we decided on that. Did we come up with the direct
I can
link?
answer it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, the existing link that you may have for high school, middle school, or kids, those are going to redirect to the main Galileo site. But once you log in the first time you through the Wayfinder and you land on that main Galileo page, you can take the URL in the let's see.
I'm going
if
there.
You log,
so.
Yeah. So that Galileo in the address bar, galileo.usg.edu/shin.
I'm sorry. I copied it because I was just going to show you.
So that is actually unique. The difference is that will be unique to your district. So it won't be a one link that everyone can use. So if you do want to link to the elementary view, middle view, or high school view or educator view, you can use that link, and it will prompt you to log in. And yeah, you can go ahead and demonstrate that. Hopefully I'm right. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, you're right.
So and
there you go. And it's prompting for a view again, as Mike said, because it knows what institution you're coming from, so it logs you in specifically there, but it looks like it's prompting for a view again.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I thought
this is one of those things where we were working on it, and I apologize. We'll get back to you with a more complete answer.
Yeah, we'll do some testing and give you.
And it's funny, and I'm glad you asked, because we sat down and talked about this specifically with the development team, and I was writing an FAQ about it, which I'll show you the FAQs later, and our bad. We'll get you a better answer, and we want to make this functionality work. So sorry about that.
But at least part of the answer is those links that you may have now are not going to automatically direct.
Right.
They're going to land students at the main Wayfinder page. Now, as far as a new link, that's what we need to get back in touch with you.
Yeah. I mean, this will work, and it'll log them in directly once they log in, but they still might have to pick a view. I mean, we wanted to do the picking of the view. We actually just wanted them to be as easy as possible to access, and more prominent on the page, and more visually attractive, and easier to access. So when we made them a little bit easier to access, we kind of de-emphasized the linking directly to them, but we still should be able to do that. And as Mike said, we'll get back to you with a firmer explanation of that. It was one of those things we might have left up in the air, and we apologize for that kind of at the last minute, but we'll get it answered ASAP. Any other questions, Mike? That's a great one, and we'll get back to you quickly on that one.
There was a follow-up comment from Adrian. It says, that's great. I don't remember what the district has bookmarked for students being clever. So
yeah, and as Mike said, at least it reroutes to that welcome page, so they're not totally getting lost or anything. Yeah. I know we accounted for that with redirects and other things, so there is that. All right, thank you for that question, and we'll get a great answer for you. So again, just to point out, the views are much easier to access and change, but don't want to spend too much time on that. Let me get back on track with some of the other things. I mentioned the Discover search. The next thing I want to share with you is databases by subject and by type. This is a feature that is retained from the last version of Galileo, and it is different on each view, and we'll talk about the views specifically later, and there are obviously fewer resources in each view. But another thing that we did, just in terms of the database lists that you see, one of the things that we wanted to do was cut way down on the number of resources that a student might see when they access Galileo. And one of the things that was rather overwhelming, and there was a great solution for this, was the Digital Library of Georgia collections. Those teeny tiny collections, things like I always have the example in my head of the 1935 or 36 Gainesville tornado collection, which is great. It's a wonderful collection if you're researching that topic. But if you're throwing that at a student in the context of a lot of other resources, it's a lot. It makes it more to wade through. And then the Digital Library of Georgia also has now over 900 collections, so we couldn't keep up and sustainably continue to list all those collections in Galileo either, without a lot of clutter to go through. So those collections now, if you just go directly to the Digital Library of Georgia site, and I'll show you that in a minute as I'm playing around here with the database search, it makes it much easier to find there. And they have a link to all their collections, and I'll show you how to access that. So if you don't see one of those Digital Library of Georgia collections listed or in the database search, or in the all databases list, I'll show you how you'll find it if you need to. So our databases by subject is broken down here with just a quick alphabetical view. And if you want to see all the databases by subjects, we've also greatly cut down on the overall number of subjects, because that was another source that was challenged, another resource it made it challenging to use because the subjects were so many and so granular. So we decided to broaden those out a bit. But we also added in some specific things like Georgia. And we also added subjects like, and I'm going to go to the next page. You can see you get your navigation, previous and next. We added subjects like elementary school and high school. And that will give you a list of all the databases in those particular views. But also we wanted to make those subjects so they were easy for everyone, whether they were in a K-12 Galileo account or a public library Galileo account, to access those resources specifically for those age groups. So it's simply a previous and next sort to go through the alphabetical list of databases by subject. There's also a numerical sort available. We've kind of been debating on the value of that, but if you want to see what you kind of have the most databases of by subject, in this case with Henry County, it's high school resources with 120 that fall under that subject heading. But the A to Z sort is obviously the most common thing that people are going to want to use to find resources by subject. And once you click on a subject, I'll click on biography here. It's giving me 22 biography resources. And I'm in the Educator View here, so it's giving me everything. But I can see that it's giving me academic search complete, biographies from Encyclopedia Britannica, Digital Library of Georgia, which has some biographical information, the ebook collections. So this is giving me access to anything that might have biographies in it as a subject. We've also added in our database lists, you can access them a variety of different ways. This is the by subject list, but note that you can also narrow into a subject. So there are biographies that break down into history, Georgia, high school, arts and entertainment. So it breaks down the topic a little bit further for you. Or you could also break down it by type. Are there articles, full text resources, quick facts and reference? So we got biographies that are quick facts and reference here. I can go ahead and see those resources. So that is the quick look at the database search there. I'm going to go back to the main Galileo page here, and just remember, just as before, if you click on the Galileo button at the top left, it's going to let me go ahead and go back to the main page here. So that's my by subject. This is by type, and again, we did a lot of mapping of old types. We had a lot of types sort of lingering in Galileo, and we wanted to kind of clean those up as well. So if I go, I see by type gives me archives and primary sources, articles, biographies, books, ebooks, and book reviews. We're still going to be doing some work on making these types and these subjects better and more useful. But so, for example, I have a student who's looking for specifically an encyclopedia, and I want to see the full list of encyclopedias. I can come here and do that. So I have Animal Kingdom, Britannica, Fundamentals, Britannica School, Elementary, everything is listed. So that is the databases by type, and that also gives you those facets on the side. And the other thing that we've added, and we haven't added this in the elementary view, but all the other views now have a Galileo databases by subject type or name search, where you can find a specific database, or you can just kind of search by topic. So if I have a student here who's looking for animals, and they click on search, it gives me 8 subjects: Animal Kingdom, Britannica, all about birds. So it gives me a list of resources that will help me to find resources about animals. So that is just a quick look at the database search. And again, we wanted to add something that would let us provide a way to search not only by a broader subject, but also by just a keyword. And we'll talk more about the all databases piece and Galileo admin in a few minutes when we talk about the spotlight. But if you have any local resources that you all purchase on your own at the district level, you can always add those to Galileo. And you can also add subjects and keyword tags to them as well, so that they're more findable. All of Galileo's core resources are pre-tagged and pre-subject oriented, but we're always welcome to suggest keywords or subjects we should add to those databases to make them more searchable. Another feature are the all databases or your all journals. This isn't a full-on A to Z list of databases, although we've already talked about making it so. This is alphabetical and it is a list of databases, but it doesn't have that A to Z functionality at the top. We're probably going to add that back and put it on the side so that there's an A to Z browse. So if I'm looking, for example, my teacher tells me to look at Britannica School, and I'm looking at the databases by letter, and I want to go to B for Britannica, and I want to see full Britannica versus Britannica Elementary, I can go and see that in the list instead of having to try to find it some other way. I know browsing can be valuable, and we want to put that functionality back in. We had a lot of discussion about that, and it seems like something that we've gotten a lot of feedback already that we should add back. But if you want that alphabetical list of databases that also can be sorted by types and by subjects, you can get that just by clicking on that All Databases link there underneath the database search. Also, we have all journals, and this is the same all journals, all publications, all magazines list that you saw before. And I don't know why it's prompting me for a password here. I cleared my cache and cookies before this, Mike. I don't know what's going on. But in any case, this is the same A to Z list that we saw previously for journals by title. So if I am looking for a specific magazine or a specific newspaper, I always use Consumer Reports for my example. It'll take me to where I can link directly to Consumer Reports here in the A to Z publications list. So pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Again, that's functionality that is a holdover from Galileo in the past, so nothing new really there, but just in a new location. Finally, this is the Galileo Spotlight, and this, as I mentioned, is customizable at the school district level, not at the individual school level, to be clear, but at the school district level. And Galileo has been working with a fair number of school systems already to offer training on Galileo administration. We have greatly improved our Galileo administration side as well through this process. We've made it easier for certain functionality to be updated and customized. And if you're interested in coordinating the Galileo Spotlight area for your district, and no one is doing that already, it might require some communication on that end to make sure that no one is already doing it, and we can help you out with that as well. Let us know via a support ticket, and I'll show you all about our support ticket system and talk about that in a bit. But do let us know, and Mike White, who is here today, handles our training on customizing this area. What we've done here, for example, in the Educator View, is we've added resources like the Professional Development Collection. This is an article resource that is specific to professional development for educators. So if I'm looking for things like a lesson plan or an idea about how to do something different with classroom management, I can come here to the Professional Development Collection and find some scholarly research articles on that. We've added ERIC. We've added access to our ebook collections, our academic collections. For those of you might be supporting student teachers at your school who are still doing research in classes. And in that case, they might want to look at the ebook collections that are academic focused. And we've also included the Digital Library of Georgia, because I know that teachers like to do a lot of planning and around using primary sources. So we included that. But all of that can be customized specifically for your institution to meet your institution needs. And you're not limited, this is another great thing about this, you're not limited to just adding Galileo resources. So, for example, you are working very closely with a specific program or class or STEM program, for example, at your school, and you wanted to highlight that, and you wanted to highlight a specific list or guide with resources on there for those students for a few weeks. You could change that and do that. You just need an image and a 300 characters or less description for that resource, and you can do it. And as I mentioned, Mike White is the person who can train you on how to do all that, and he's offering regular training sessions on updating the Spotlight in Galileo Admin. Again, just submit a support ticket to us, and we'll make sure that Mike gets that and communicates with you about your specific needs for training on that Galileo Admin side. The About area here, and I'm going to pause for questions, Mike, because I think I see some things in the chat. Let me just make sure everybody's clear.
Yep. Yeah, there's a question. What about databases purchased by individual schools? Can we add those to Galileo?
Unfortunately, not right now. And we hope to be able to, in the not too distant future, be able to support that. But unfortunately, we cannot support that right now because authentication still happens at the district level, not at the school level. Our long-term plan is to be able to do that, but it's going to take some time for us to be able to facilitate that. So sorry, I know that's frustrating. We've worked with several schools that have wanted to do something like that, but it's challenging. All right.
And that's the all the questions. All the questions.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Great question, and again, that's one of those things that I feel bad because we can't do it yet, but we hope to be able to do it in the not too distant future. So the about area, this is again, this is something that came over from Galileo Past. If you want to, there are 6 slots of information we can fill in here for you. So if you wanted to add something, for example, like your library catalog, if you have, for example, a Fall at Destiny catalog and you want students to be able to access that from the Galileo page, you can do that. And so just wanted to let you know that those are spaces that we can fill in for you if you just reach out to us again via the Galileo Support tickets, Galileo Support requests. We're happy to work with you on adding information there. One thing that you may be missing up at the Galileo Search at the top, and this is a functionality that I think a lot of people don't necessarily know about, is we have this Galileo Discover search here. But one of the things that you can do, if you wanted to add this search to a LMS page or a class website or your school media site, you can do that. And the code that you need to do that, if you want to put it on your web page, is right here. And actually, there are 4 different boxes for the different K-12 views. I'm in the Educator View, so this is the code for the Educator View box. But that code appears in the footer on every page, and you can access that, not the footer, but the tools area on every page. And you can access that, plug it into your website. You want to test that and make sure it works properly. Let us know if you have any problems with it, but this is the way you can add the Galileo Search to your library's website or other areas that will support it. So just want to point that out. It used to live right here by the main search, but aesthetically it caused confusion. So we wanted to make sure that we retained it on the page, but that we put it somewhere that it was A, easy to access, but B, not in anyone's way. So it is in the tools area now. Our Galileo News is the same before. It's a news feed that comes directly from our Galileo newsletter. And the Galileo System Alerts, that's similar. It's the same Galileo System Alerts that were there before. It comes from another page, but it routes here and is picked up by the Galileo main page, and there aren't any system alerts currently. And so that's everything on the main page. I'm going to go back to the top and share with you in just a second support pages, just so that I mentioned submitting a support ticket a couple of times, and then I'll pop down and talk to you about the About Galileo pages so that you're familiar with those. But before I do that, I'm going to pause. I see the chat lighting up again. I just want to make sure there aren't any questions, or if there are, I can get those and answer them.
That was me following up with Adrian. I was letting her know that while we can't add locally purchased resources, that an individual school, if a district has access to a locally purchased resource, that can be added. Either and we can manage that for you, or if you would like to manage it for your district, we do offer training on how to do that. That's all done in the Galileo admin.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that, Mike, and thank you for the good questions, Adrian. All right, well, let me go ahead and pop up back to the top, and I wanted to talk about Galileo Support and about Galileo last, just because they are areas we hope you will take advantage of, but they're not necessarily rooted on the main page here. And then we'll talk about views. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Support just to show you what's there. We have done a substantial and detailed job of updating our Galileo Support pages. We've added things like our system alerts here. We wanted it to be so that people could see things and look for answers before they felt like they had to submit a support request. So we also updated our FAQs in the support area a ton. We cleaned them up. We got rid of lots of old articles that weren't very functional anymore. And we cleaned up, edited, and did a lot of housekeeping with these. You see that our questions are divided by category: password, searching and citing, support for librarians, so that you can search categorically, but you can also search by keyword. So if I'm wondering something about my Galileo password and I need to find out more about it, how do I access, and here's how do I access the elementary, middle, and high school views. Just to throw that one out there. So we're going to talk about these in a minute, but there isn't a detailed FAQ on how these work. So those are there for you. But just wanted to mention that. But then also when you get back to the Galileo main support page, if you need to submit a support ticket, we wanted to make sure that we gave librarians and teachers an adequate opportunity to offer research help. That's not really what we do. We try to help as much as we can, but we often point students back to the library. During the COVID time frame here, we've tried to help when we can, because it's been harder at times for people to get in touch with a reference librarian or a school librarian, but we still try to point people back in that direction. And if they don't get that follow-up they need, we can work with them a little bit. But in any case, we want them to contact their library. And so this link goes to a list of all the libraries and all the schools by district. This is our new support forms area. We have 2 forms now. I've worked with a number of schools to do library staff development days, and I can still do those virtually right now, but I've been to a lot of schools in the past to do those. If you're ever interested in having someone come on site and speak to a group of teachers or media specialists, I'm always happy to do that. But that would be an example of something that you would use the general questions concerns form for. And so you'll see here, it's just a general form that you can use to contact us and training, licensing. If you want to recommend a resource, content recommendation, those are listed there. We've also updated all of our forms to include the option for 3 attachments. We only had the option for 1 in the past. And on the Galileo support side, if you have a technical question or a support question, or if you need to contact Mike about training, this form is here, and well, you can also use the other form. They're both right to the same place, so it doesn't really matter which one you use. This one has more opportunity to put in technical details about your specific needs or specific databases that you're looking at. To give a description. One of the things that we determined is we oftentimes were replying to support tickets with, are you seeing an error message? Can you send it to us? What does it say? So we made sure to include a form. This is Mike's good work. Hey, do you see an error message? What does it say? Here as a question on the form. And again, with the option to now add 3 attachments. These come directly to us at Galileo, and we assign them to the appropriate staff to answer those questions. And we generally get answers back to support questions within about 24 hours at the most. A few things here and there notwithstanding, but we try to update you routinely about your support questions. Any questions come in? I see it's lighting up again, Mike, and I'm just paranoid now, so I'm just making sure that I get all the questions. There's been some great ones today.
No new questions.
Okay. So that was support. We're going to do 2 more things, I promise, and that is the next one is about Galileo, which you can access in the footer. So the About Galileo pages, all of the content that you see there, we have our governance, community, tools and training, are all individual links here. But if you want to see everything that's in the About Galileo area in one place, this just gives an overview of who we are and what we do on the main About page, the initiative, the mission, history, participating institution. There's a programs page. So in addition to our Galileo Search site, which is the main thing that everyone uses, we also have our affordable learning, affordable textbook program, the Digital Library of Georgia, which I mentioned earlier, our Galileo Internet Connected Libraries. And I mentioned that I would share with you the Digital Library of Georgia. This is the main Digital Library of Georgia page. If you're missing that list of resources that we had previously in Galileo, if you go to Explore and Collections here on the Digital Library page, you get a list of all the collections that we had listed in Galileo, and then some things like the 1936, it was 36, Gainesville tornado site. So that's just another thing I wanted to show you, and my brain forgot it. Governance, this has things like an overview of our governance structure, RACL, which is our Regents Academic Committee on Libraries, Galileo Steering Committee, our subcommittees, but also our policies. So if you're looking for something on password policies, our privacy policy, who are authorized users, password distribution dates, all of that is there under governance. And then community, and that's our newsletter and other calendars and other information that we're working to continue to improve there. And finally, the tools and training area, which has our marketing toolkit. If you need some resources to help you market resources to teachers or to students, you can find some things there. Presentations and materials. If I come to your school and do a presentation, I usually put that presentation up on the presentation and materials page so that you all can access it later. A statistics page, you can get Galileo Statistics by school district still. Hopefully we'll be doing more granular statistics by school in the future, but For now, you have access to Galileo Access Statistics by School District here in the statistics area. And finally, training. And this is our training page. And we have some short video tutorials that we've made to help you. It covers a lot of the same things that I'm talking about today. And we have our face-to-face trainings that we've been doing lately. And I mentioned Mike was offering the technical training. We have a technical training tab, the new Galileo admin training. There's information about that here on the training page as well. So we have about 3 minutes left. So that's everything on the About pages. I'm going to come back and address any other questions that you all have, give you an opportunity to speak up and ask any questions, or I'll open the chat. I can see everything and everybody now, so that's great. So the floor is open for questions. You can ask with your microphone if you'd like, or you're welcome to also ask questions via the chat on a continuing basis here. We'll hang out for a couple more minutes. But that's what we have to share. I hope that it works for you all and works well, and that you're able to use Galileo, and that the modern look, feel, and access to resources will be more beneficial to students going forward for the future. You know what? I forgot all about views. The content of it has the content available for K-12 changed since last school year. I don't think so. I will give you a heads up, Marcia, that we might be losing the EBSCO ebook central, pardon me, the ProQuest ebook central collection because of budget cuts. We provide that collection to everyone. The content on that collection is primarily something that teachers might use. They're primarily academic books, but there's a lot of good education content in there. We hate to lose them, but we're still negotiating that, and we just based on budget cuts may lose that, and so that would be a major loss. But so far as direct K-12 content versus core Galileo content, we have kept everything the same going into the 2020 school year as it was last year, but that could be one exception that comes up soon, just in the interest of being totally honest. I didn't show you a lot with the views. Let me pop back in and just show you that the different views also do contain different content. And again, the content is designed to support the age group that's using it. So the K5 view, I'm going to change here. Oh, so sorry, I got so into other things I forgot. The elementary view for K5 students. It has a in the spotlight that has things like Britannic Elementary and Explorer for Elementary. Based on the recommendations of the GDAC committee, we just included an all databases list. They thought that K5 students would likely be pretty confused by the database search, especially with another search box on the page already. So that's what you see there. We've also edited what the search searches substantially so that they're getting better results at the elementary level. And we did that at every level, whether it be elementary, middle, or high school. We wanted to make sure that they were getting better content and cleaner search results, more useful search results. So we did some updates and changes to what these resources search. But if you ever need a student to be able to search any and everything, if they change to the Educator View, they can. But the high school is just short of the Educator View. I think I took out maybe one giant index that was, I think, an education index here for the high school view. But other than that, I think it searches most of the same content that you can search in the Educator View. So just wanted to quickly show those views. Sorry about that. That's a big thing. Any other questions?